Alright, Paper Demons. Today I'm going to talk about how to feel good about your bad art. I'm going to share my personal journey with art block and how I overcame it, and some tips. Some tippy tips. I'm recording this video at almost midnight because for some reason I have energy late in the night and feel like making a video. Oh yeah. Okay, during this video I'm going to talk about some mindset transitions that I had to go through in order to overcome my art block. And while I talk through this video, I will show you some time-lapse footage of the art I created for the Summer's Eve Ball Art RPG event. So my last art block happened, I don't even know when it started, but it had to have been like, I don't know, somewhere around like 2010 or 2012. This was a long time ago. I started getting really intentional about getting out of it in 2017. I'm pretty sure that it started around the time that I was actually doing art professionally for Google. So if you don't know, I worked for Google for something like 13 years, forever. I can't believe I was there over a decade. But during my time there was a period of about 3 years that I was an official artist for the Doodle team. So I did Google Doodles for the Google homepage. Pretty cool getting your art seen by millions of people. It's pretty... No pressure. No, actually there was lots of pressure. But anyway, I digress. So I got to work with some really talented artists on that team. And I stupidly was comparing myself to the other artists there. I think also just having art be my job for someone else and doing art for someone else and trying to please other people may have also kind of contributed to my art block. Let's be real, it was a pretty amazing job and a dream job. It was a dream come true. I don't want to understate that, but it did kind of have an impact on me, and it was my fault. I had certain mindsets that were working against me. And I think it came down to, one, that comparison of comparing myself to other people. There were some other artists on there that were more skilled than me. And I'm just being honest. They were more skilled than me. And I did not yet develop my own art style. My art was all over the place. And some of that was because I think the job actually worked in my favor, with experimenting with different styles, but it also kind of worked against me in terms of my own art to not have an established style. I actually have another video where I talk more about that. In that video, I talk about how having an established style really helps me to maintain momentum with my art. So check out that video if you're interested in learning more about establishing an art style. Anyway, back to the story. I was comparing myself to other people, which is a big no-no. So if you're doing that, try not to do that, and because it doesn't really get you anywhere. Everyone is on a journey with their art. Everyone who's good at one point in the past was not very skilled. Practices and studies and develops their skills over time. So it's not really fair to compare yourself to another person, because we all grow and learn at different speeds. I think part of the reason that this was hurting me too was that other artists who actually were doing art professionally for less time than me, but were still way better than me. Everyone learns at a different pace, has different resources available to them to learn, maybe has better instruction or whatever. It's not, okay to compare yourself to another person. Everyone's journey is different, and those differences are what make you unique and will contribute to your own unique set of skills and talents. Instead of comparing yourself to other people, you can try comparing yourself to yourself. You can see your own progress over time, see that things are getting better, see that your drawings are getting better. So that's a much healthier way of doing comparison. In fact, for me, it really helps to go back and look at old drawings many, many years ago and feel oh wow, I've really come a long way. Because I have. The way that I was drawing before I studied art is just I made lots of... I lacked a lot of skill, and I have improved significantly. Even in the last like 3 years, my art has had a huge improvement in terms of color, composition, etc. So yeah, compare yourself to yourself. I think it's also important to mention that even professional, skilled artists run into art block. So it's not something that is just experienced by amateurs or beginners. It is a universally felt pain point for artists. And because of that fact, it means that art block has nothing to do with how good you are. It has everything to do with what you think of yourself. And even very skilled artists can feel really, really bad about themselves and about their skills. So we're all in this and experiencing this pain of art block together. I think it was around 2017 when I started to like actively work on coming out of my art block. The reason that I was working on it then is that was the time that I was like, okay, I want to make PaperDemon into a business and I want to help people with art block. And at the time I didn't know quite how I was going to do it. I knew I was going to involve like art challenges and gamification, but I didn't know quite what that was going to look like. Of course, now we have the art RPG, which is like a fully realized thing. But, you know, at the time I didn't know that. And at the time I was also trying to figure out marketing, like how am I going to market this thing? And I was making graphics and illustrations and stuff for blog posts and stuff. And I was making them and they just looked awful. Like I was like not happy. And every art I made looked different from the last. And they all just looked like they were all done by different artists. They didn't look like they were done by the same artist. And they did not meet my standards for myself. I had high standards for myself. So what I kind of did was like accept that my art is not where I want it to be and keep drawing anyway. So I intentionally kept drawing and making bad art. And I mean bad in quotes because I don't want to like be hard on myself here, but there's a really good quote by Walt Stanchfield. We all have 10,000 bad drawings in us, and the sooner we get them out, the better. And I really love this quote because it kind of changes your mindset to feel that your bad art is actually productive. So every time you're making something that's crappy or that you feel crappy about, you are knocking off one of those 10,000. So it's almost like you're progressing even if you don't feel like it, which is great. I mentioned a moment ago how I kind of have high standards for myself, and some of this I think kind of comes from not just from my personality, but I think when I was in university, it was kind of within the culture of, I attended San Jose State University, their animation and illustration program. Fired up, Shogun Heads. It's a great program and it's a great community there. But there is, I think, one thing that is a flaw of that program when I went through it, and this may not be true of the program now, but I feel like there's this really strong culture there of punching down on other forms of art and other schools and other programs that don't teach fundamentals as well. And while it may be true that you are getting a quality education at San Jose State, I think there's almost this elitist attitude, and it doesn't serve you well in the long run, because then it kind of cultivates that sense of comparison and self-criticism, and you end up getting really hard on yourself. Like the students are really hard on themselves, and I know this not just from my own personal experience of going through it, but I also had done some interviews with students who were about to graduate there, because we were hiring on the Google Doodle team, and so I conducted some interviews with students there, and man, they like artists who were really skilled talked so poorly about themselves and had such a low opinion about their own abilities and felt really like not confident. So I think sometimes in these programs that really push students hard, it can have lasting effects years after you get out of that program of like over analyzing your own skill to the point that it paralyzes your ability to draw. I don't know what the program is like now there, like hopefully they've kind of worked through that, but just kind of be mindful of that if you do go through any program to study art, that you may run into that, or maybe you've already studied art at a university or gone through some program or something. That is not a healthy mindset to cultivate. Try your best to purge that from your mind. Another thing that I was doing in 2017 to kind of help me out of my art block was to kind of go back to basics, go back and study drawing fundamentals, you know, things like figure drawing. I purchased Proko's figure drawing course and started going through it. That was really helpful because it was like kind of going back to something that was really familiar to me, because back when I studied animation and illustration, I did a lot of figure drawing. I repeated figure drawing courses multiple times because I saw how much it was improving and contributing to my drawing. So it was like a way to kind of start to feel confident again, because I'd look at it and I'd be like, oh, hey, this isn't that bad. Like, oh, like I'm really excited about this sketch I did. Like, you know, I would just starting to rebuild my confidence. Another thing, and this is going to sound kind of weird, but kind of going through some therapy helped me. I have come to the realization that I am a perfectionist, and this is something that comes up a lot in therapy, especially if you have like anxiety or OCD. Perfectionism is a thing that can really hold you back because you have too high of a standard that prevents you from being able to even start something or to finish something that you've already started. That, I think, contributed a lot to my own art block. It's an ongoing problem for me. I don't think I'm recovered. I don't think I'm a recovered perfectionist, but I am a recovering perfectionist. In fact, I think it's even hurt some of my work on this YouTube channel. Like, I'm trying too hard to make the videos super nice, and now I'm trying to just be a little bit more okay with my mistakes. You know, make things less polished, because I can get things done a lot faster. You get a lot more done when you are okay with making mistakes. And I think with art too, like, it's the more you create, the better you get. Just getting through those like terrible drawings for the first period of time and just being okay with them being bad, eventually you'll get to this point where you are starting to feel happy with what you're creating. I think the channel How to ADHD also has a video, something, or maybe even a song that they wrote, something about do it badly, do it terribly. It's a great YouTube channel. Definitely check it out if you have ADHD. But yeah, once I hit that point where I'm doing a lot of stuff that I don't like, eventually I got to a drawing where I was like, oh, I like this. This is good. And then I was able to like kind of build momentum and keep going and create stuff that I liked. I do also want to just remind you that you are worthy whether or not you are creating. Try not to see your self-worth as based on how productive you are, because you are worthy, period. And I have seen other artists in the PaperDemon community who are going through a really hard time or tough time in their lives be really hard on themselves for not drawing, and be gentle with yourself. It's okay to take a break. Even if you set a goal for yourself to try and draw more, and then something happens in life and you just really are not in a good place to work on your art, like, that's okay. You could take a break. Please be gentle with yourselves. In some cases, people experience art block because they don't feel inspired or they don't have ideas. I mean, for me personally, this is some of what contributed to my art block. You know, having a project to work on has really helped me a lot. Like, just like my project being making this art game has really provided me with a lot of inspiration and collaborating with other people. So if you are struggling with ideas, struggling to find inspiration, check out the PaperDemon Art RPG. We have new prompts every week, as well as larger drawing events every month. We also have meetups and let's draws where we all get together and draw at the same time. That could be really helpful as like a body double, like you set some time on your calendar that you know that other people are going to be drawing at the same time as you, and that can provide some motivation. But anyway, check out the PaperDemon Art RPG. Every drawing of your OC earns you loot and XP in the PaperDemon Art RPG. Links are in the description below. Also, don't forget, give this video a like. Thank you so much. It really helps out the channel. Also, click subscribe. Have a lovely day. Bye!